Well, welcome everybody to yet another episode of No BS, episode 5, I believe, in which we take the things of, for example, adulting for adults, which don't feel bad. In our generation, we don't know shit. But that's why I'm here. So let's sit back, enjoy, be super friendly and kind to each other, and let us grow. Today we're going to focus as a continuation of what spider webbing is and a more in-depth understanding of how we can make our businesses or side projects profitable by utilizing things like TikTok, Facebook, and even if you still have one, MySpace. So first we're going to bring on our guest, Emily, to go ahead and update us on where her business is through. And then we're going to open up for Q&A, and we'll kind of go in line. I call you off, and we'll go from there. So have some fun. Emily, go ahead and get started. Let us know. Continue. Go for it.
I need to know what I'm continuing because that's what I was talking about. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so you're going to go through what you've learned so far, how you've applied it, what you've learned after you started getting your product together, and your next step of the process.
Okay. So after I started getting my product together, it's been really easy to actually see the sizes of the things that I'm making with the candle wise, and seeing numbers on a screen of okay, the wax is going to cost this much and this, but actually seeing it with the size that it's going to be has been a lot helpful. And then with that going forward, I know now that a 7 to 8 ounce candle is going to do a whole lot better than a 4 ounce candle because I can see that the size difference, because 3 ounces may not seem like a lot, but when you're actually seeing the candle, it is a big difference.
So, first question I have is, how has understanding and listening to these past episodes grow your understanding for how to utilize social media to help it grow without adding in hours of extra labor or trying to basically your own outreach?
Oh, like with TikTok and YouTube. If I'm making a order, I can just record it while making an order, and that doesn't take any time outside of pressing record. And then that is just already right there a lot of outreach and a lot of advertising with very minimal effort.
Correct. Now, what's another thing that you can use in social media, for example, with contacts of people, you can do while starting a business to help it grow? Do you remember?
No, I don't actually remember that because we didn't have a full conversation on that.
Okay. So before we jump into the in-depth of what spider webbing is, how to utilize your contacts in social media, I'm going to open questions and try to pick 2 questions from each of you on what you think you would need for your business to start and grow. So that way I can answer it, and then we'll go into detail on how to manifest it from thought into reality. So we're going to start with you, All-American. If you got one, go ahead and let me know. And if you don't, that's fine. Just go ahead and say pass, and we'll move on to the next. Can you hear me all right, All-American?
Yeah, I had to unmute it. I'm a pass on it right now.
Okay,
see how we get
fine.
used to this.
Let me know if you have any questions later.
All right.
All right, what about you, Danny?
Say, because I wanted to start a auto shop myself. Is there certain levels of car failures or say car types that one should start with to basically get that going instead of jumping in all the bigger maintenance ones?
Okay, so that's actually a perfect question. And the best way to start out with is go with what you know. Okay, so you know how to change a tire.
Yes.
Okay, so now you got tire service. What about a muffler?
Yes.
What about oil change?
Yes.
So I just gave you 3 possibilities for your auto service. Your next step is to go and budget what you'll need for replacements.
Okay.
Make sense?
Sense?
Yeah.
You have one more?
My only other one is there certain, say, like, when it comes to advertisement, is there good to go in on advertisement with other shops that will also boost theirs along with yours to be able to commingle with them and get certain repairs done that they know a lot, that, and also allowing them to share what they know, information to be able to learn from them.
So absolutely. This is where spider webbing comes in. Okay. So not only spider webbing works on adding multiple links in multiple areas, so that way you have multiple streams.
But
You don't have just your income. You have it with the type of business you create. So you may open one business for specifically tires, and another one for specifically mufflers, another one that's specifically, changing out an alternator, right? Stuff like that, basic repairs. And then you may connect yourself with other businesses that do detailing, that does cleaning service.
Okay.
And by doing
this,
this,
you not only build a spider web of connections for your customer,
but for
yourself, because people who go in and have a whole job done, right? When they came in, they had no exhaust system.
That person, now
that you're also sending them business and you've come in contact with them and built that rapport with them, is going to every single time see one of those customers go, hey, yo, I got a buddy who will hook you up. No, it's not really helping them in price.
But
they put the seed into the purchase.
Make sense?
Make sense?
Yeah.
So you're still building a form of passive income
without even
doing any labor, simply by shaking a hand and going, hey, I'll send some people your way, you send some people my way, and then we'll have a phone call on how we can boost each other's business once a month.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Definitely make multiple connections and don't be afraid of it, right? Because just because you have only one understanding of something, okay, I just said like a paint job, right? But then you could also be in ties with someone who does like your sister candles, right? Well, she can also do fragrances, and if she can do fragrances, you can do things that help with the fragrance of the cars, right? As little mini merchandises inside your workshop. So instead of having to buy those, you can make those yourselves, sell them in your own shop, and now you have 2 separate sides of businesses. You now have 2 incomes from one business that's now compiling constantly. And the second one you have is literally you only make to demand. So if you're averaging selling like 20 to 30 a month, you're only going to be making about 50 at tops, just in case there's a really quick, month on it. Or if there's not, you kind of lay back a little and you're not paying expenses to continuously refuel it.
Okay, so it's just like with the candle thing. It's like when they come in to me, I can send some stuff to her, some people to her, and then vice versa. There's some information I can give her, and I know that she knows I can know, and then she'd be able to send them to me, and I can also advertise her stuff at the same time. Okay.
Exactly.
For example, you're
working on the cars, right? On the video in the lobby area on the TV in the lobby area you could be putting up clips of other people from like TikTok that brings happiness and joy, etc. That are obviously PG, right?
Right.
Not like these hands that are rated E for everyone. But yeah, it's really that simple, right? You just take 5-10 minutes out of your day, right, on times that you normally just sit there, and you put it out.
Okay.
It may go weeks without it having any effect, or it could have an effect immediately. It's no different than videos on TikTok, right? You could post 1,000 videos and not a single one goes viral, and then you post one that's absolute trash, and next thing you know, you got 2,000 views.
Right.
Like it's just how humanity works. It's how psychology works.
So
did that answer your second question?
Yes, it did.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move back to you, Emily. Good patron saint.
I'm here.
Do you have a question for this one?
Not on this one.
Yeah, I noticed you've been staying right on top of it, especially with your new little handy dandy notebook. All right, now it's your turn, Vitanel. Grace us with your beautiful.
What?
I
What
said
do you want
grace
from
us with your questions.
What do you want from me?
I want to know what is something you would want to know on how to start a business.
I already know how to start a business. I already have a business.
You do.
What's something you would want to know? They don't know.
What's something I would want to know?
Yeah, to make it grow.
I don't know.
We're getting somewhere.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple questions. All right. What do you do for outsourcing?
What?
What do you do for outsourcing and attracting customers?
I just throw my information at moms.
So
I'm like,
just
bitch,
on
you got
your-
kids. That's what hit me. So
Okay. So what sites do you put it on?
all the different mommy Facebook pages that I have.
So you're doing well on finding a specific audience. That's absolutely amazing. Is Facebook the only one you use?
Mm-hmm.
So you're still in the beginning stage of the spider web set, okay? Now, the average millionaire has no less than 7 forms of income at a time. Okay? So instead of going to a job, right, and spending 40 hours of your life, 4 things of your life, they allow their businesses and connections to work those hours for them. The spider web effect.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would recommend is you find 3 more social media platforms in which you do like displays. So if you can go on Amazon and spend the $50 on styrofoam mannequins, right? And display them on that, right? With some music in the background. Hit up TikTok. Don't do it as specific advertisement at first. Because when you want to ease from to have multiple of them, you don't want to go, hey, buy now, right? You want to kind of just show it off with already your fans and let the ones that start saying, oh, those are so cute. And then you go, you know what? That's a good idea. And then you make of, hey, if these have been interesting you lately, in the past week, hit me up on this site right here. And this is where customer discount or fan discounts come in, which also help boost your business. You can set up a program where if you're already a follower, you get 5% off your order. And then you can also do promotional things to where if
I have a whole bunch
can send.
So on my business Facebook, I have a group, like a VIP group, and within the group, they each have discounts, and then they get like birthday month discounts, and then there's different days that are discounted, and there's different times when things go on sale. And I have not been doing it for a while. I was in a really bad spot in November mentally, so I took a pause. So
just good. Sometimes
currently
you just step away.
Old, but it was going pretty well for a minute. So.
All right. So yeah, definitely. So when you feel like you really want to step back into it, add that step that I said. Start spider webbing, throwing your little connections throughout social media all over, right? And then also make those spider web connections with specific people in each one. So for example,
going through the approach, like
people
you buy a drug, I'll smoke you out.
You could do that too, like the 420 community. You really could. You could take one day a month in which, hey, we're gonna do a live video. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna have an auction. It starts out at like $10, and it's gonna go up by a penny. And every purchase that's made, take a major rip off this bong.
Yeah, I like
Literally
that.
turn it into a game show.
People would buy shit from me just to watch me get baked.
Exactly. And that's another thing. Now you just opened up another thing, right? You can now reach out to, if you can't produce the product yourself, you can reach out to other companies that really want to get their business going and go, hey, if you're willing to pop me in as not only a purchaser to help grow your business by, selling your stuff through my store, but give me like 10% of that company, you got a deal. And most of these newer cannabis business will jump on that immediately, especially if you invest like $100 right off the get-go and you sell it quick, right? So on one of your lives, you're like, this is the brand that I personally like to use, blah, blah, blah. I highly recommend it. Well, I'll give it a shot. Let me know. You can get a sample piece here for only like, you know what I'm saying?
Become a pharmacy rep.
So now
you've stores.
Yeah. You've just become, you've just created you just created two forms of income.
Dude, it would be my dream to like be able to like take smoking photos for high times or some shit.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another thing. Like when we do that camping thing this year, I just got Emily a brand new camera. So I'm totally down to you guys doing like major, 420 forest photos. Like legit. And I still need to have send me other photos so I can create that album for you guys, because all I got are the ones you sent me.
What photos?
Remember, because you sent me all your photos. You're going to send me a couple of kids and then some group photos of you guys and the kids so I could create your album. I was going to put it on a USB drive when I send your witch kit with you.
No, I don't remember anything about that.
Okay, well,
I must have been well supplemented.
Maybe. Yeah, it was like
well vitamin.
I don't remember. Was that the dragon? Oh my god. I'm so jealous.
It's not fair.
I want to smoke out of a dragon. I've only smoked.
I'm about to go chase the dragon.
Yeah.
Bruh.
All right, so did that help out with one of your questions on how to really implement it and how easy it can be? Does that kind of help like de-stress the idea of pushing a business? Mm-hmm. Was there another one you would like to know, or do you want me to? Are you ready for me to move on?
Go ahead. Feel free.
Okay. All right, Natsu, you're up. You.
All right. I have no idea.
Okay, so I gotta help you out. You were talking to me yesterday about, for example, diving and stuff like that, diving lessons, etc. Right? Get a GoPro, especially this spring, dude. Get a GoPro. Dive Lake Michigan, and record the shit out of it.
Dude, there's a guy that
I've
watch on Facebook with a metal detector and a GoPro that goes scuba diving and finds crazy shit. Do it. You should do it. You should totally do that.
I got a metal detector.
By doing this,
yeah,
you just created three forms of income. Three forms of income. You've created a social media income, which is another thing I'm going to tap on for you, Vitanel, because that is a question you had. You just don't remember. How to monetize your TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, for example, to monetize your TikTok, you need to have 10K followers, which you now have.
Nope, I'm out.
You need to have 10,000 views in a month, which is easy as hell. And you have to be. I don't know if it's all three of those. So it's time for Mama Bear to get paid. I mean, because now every video that's then liked, etc., you get paid for.
I know, but then there's like responsibilities and things.
No responsibilities.
No responsibilities other than those two things. You have to retain over 10K. I mean,
it's no different.
No different on the guidelines either. It's the same guidelines.
I want them to change the
Literally
guidelines.
it's as simple as you
Come on, you
click
got it.
and then money starts coming to your account.
Okay. We're gonna have to. I have to go step by step.
There is even a girl on there that she literally is a TikTok creator, and she uses that because she does smoke sessions too, and it enables her to use her medication as tax write-offs every year.
That got your attention.
Write off her tax. Her weed as a tax write-off.
The fuck up! What did you just say? Did you what? What?
You can write off.
You
can
write off all of her plant medicine money.
Yes.
Yes.
As a tax deduction.
Okay.
Every penny she spends.
I got some questions.
Yep. That's why.
That's why episode 6 will be going in depth on how taxes work, including how to obtain an LLC or additional tax credits.
Which, speaking
and
of
how to turn that LLC into a religious doctrine, which gets you exempted from taxes.
We need to.
So that means the IRS has to pay you to even exist.
You can break your
We should
designer
open
master.
up
There's one in the kitchen.
the Sacred Church of Vitamins.
Church of Vitamel.
No,
we need a profit.
We need a profit.
No, not me. Church of Vitamins. It's like the house of worship we all go to. We all go.
Church of Vitamins.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
It's not me.
with that,
It's not me.
and
It's
also
not
with that tax
It's about the green.
write off. Say you get stuff for like your cars. Can you also, since you're using that car for work, mainly for work, can't you use the stuff you buy to put on it, say like a new engine, as a tax write off for
Yes,
like
you
a
can.
work
You
thing?
can. You can.
Why do you think?
Why do you think Trump only paid $736 in taxes this year?
Because he knows how to do his
To
taxes.
do his taxes.
I was saying because he's paying all them lawyers.
No,
No,
legit.
legit. It's because he knows his taxes.
He's
He's a master of the loopholes.
You
You can hate the guy all you want, but the guy's fucking
Right.
brilliant.
This is true.
Like
No hate, like on either side. Just like, I mean, I can't stand the man.
But I
I
mean,
mean, I give credit where credit's due. He's a genius when it comes to
Giving the
giving the IRS the finger legally.
This is true.
All right.
All right. So, anyways, Natsu,
back
with you, man.
So
So while you're doing this, right, you have YouTube, TikTok, you have Instagram, Snapchat, and the list goes on, right? And you can monetize in all of those. You can also advertise in all of those. So there's stream of income number one. Stream of income number two are the customers that come to get paid to be trained, right?
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, is you'll start opening the business with the money that you make from those businesses to sell equipment. And you're not just going to sell it in some shop. No, you're going to keep it completely online. And then you can have a pickup shop. So every once in a while, right, it's kind of like how Wish and eBay and Amazon does it, right? They have store stations in which people can go pick up their product to save on shipping because you ship through business, not through private. So you save on average 30 to 80% on all your shipping. Right?
All right.
Recommend is take the time to research
I'm still here.
all the products that you would want to and that you yourself would use. Right? You're going to take time to watch other TikTokers, YouTubers who do videos like that. Pay attention to the ones that get a lot of the views and, in a sense, not absolute copy, but
Implement
adopt specific traits. Yep. And then the next step of that is and I'll help you with it if you need it, is to learn online networking. Once you figure that out and understand how to connect payment plans to a specific account, which you do not want to your main account, always have a separate business account. Like business rule 106, always hold a separate business account, separate from your personal finances. Period. Every person should have between 4 to 6 accounts. 2 to 3 of which are savings accounts. Either it's a business savings, personal savings, and then emergency savings. And to be completely secure in your emergency savings, you should always have, once you reach this point, at least 3 months of survivable income. And if you have rent or whatever, it covers all bills for up to 3 months. Aside of that, you want your business savings as well before you have your own savings, because not only should you constantly be investing in your own business, even if it means hiring people to make your business even more profitable by throwing them, hey, you spend 2 hours doing some, posting and networking for me, I'll pay you $50. There are a lot of teenagers that are really good at networking and really good at coding, that $50 will go a long fucking way. Utilize it.
Yeah.
It's not slave labor either, because one, you're giving teenagers who have no ability to really make an income the ability to make an income under the table, untaxable, straight in their pocket, right? And you're paying them $50-$60 for like an hour's worth of work. They're making more than their fucking parents. So, anyone who wants to go against it, shut up. Some money in that kid's pocket. Was there, so did that kind of help, that explanation right there really help get you out of that uncomfortable?
Yeah, it definitely helped.
Would I do it, like mist?
Yeah, it definitely clears it up. Like, I already had kind of like a small basis line of like how it would work in theory, or at least my own theory. But it's just implementing it and starting it and doing it. It just, as of right now, I'm trying to do other things.
Well, the number one thing,
but that is that.
If I can teach you guys anything in all aspects of your life, is your own ego is your biggest enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Second, you tell yourself, I can't do it. It's too hard. There's no way. There's 100% failure. Period.
Yeah.
You can do it.
No, I mean, I don't necessarily doubt my ability to do it. It's just now that's, yeah, it's just that's not exactly my primary focus as of right now. But, a couple months from now, it very well could be.
Come spring. That's why I said it with yours, because like the other ones, like with Vitanel, for example, this is something that she's already started, and I'm simply kind of giving her more ideas and points on how to grow it, to manifest it at a much larger scale. To it, also giving her ideas on how to add to it, right? Because she's already at that starting basis, right? And that's why, like when you take Emily at like the stage just before Vitanel is, right? She's got her product together. She's got her idea. Now she has to start acting it out there. It used to not, immediate success. And when she gets into that process, she'll be at where Vitanel is. And then that's why I'll be working with her to go, okay, now that you've got your standard of foundation, now let me show you how to bring it from an infant to a teenager to an adult. Right? And so with you, like we talked last night, you said that, hey, I'm not even at that stage yet. I'm simply at the stage of, I would really enjoy this. How would I, if I wanted an income from it, because it may just become a hobby, right? Which is perfectly fine. No business should be started for income alone. Okay, that's my rule 99 in business, straight up. No business should be made for money alone.
Yep, because you can't enjoy doing.
Your business should be something that excites you. I mean, if you don't get excited by your service or project, how can you expect your customers to be? Right?
Mm-hmm. Unless you're good at fucking advertising shit.
All right. So at that point, that was the Q&A. So let me go back into detail real quick. All of you guys on what spider webbing is and how to really implement it. Spider webbing in every aspect of your life is simply like a spider web. You're the spider. They're traps in a sense of events and occurrences that you want as manifestation, right? So if we're taking the business aspect, we're gonna create that spider web. Okay. If we have an idea and that idea can also sell the individual parts of that idea, we make multiple parts and make that as a whole. So say, for example, like the witch kits that I'm gonna make, right? I'm gonna have a candle from what Emily makes. I'm gonna have some of the decoration from one of my other friends who wants to get into decorating cakes, candles, etc. Which those two are now starting to work together. So they've already created another string, right? Now we have 3 strings, and then I have a string to do not just the witch kits, but the other things, individuals, like maybe just get like rocks, etc. As you spider web, not only the idea and the amount of ways you can break it down for additional sales, you're also applying this with your social media, right? Facebook, and you do it to TikTok, and you do it to Twitch, and you do it at Twitter. How do you budget this throughout your day? It's very simple. Because remember, we're not working for money, okay? We are spending time as an investment, okay? Money doesn't really exist. Your life and the time of your life does. That's where true value is. Hey, you ask any rich person, not a single one goes, yeah, I'm working for that almighty dollar. No, they let the dollar work for them. They know that the time that they spend is where the value is. And you have to understand that and accept that with yourself. Okay? So when you're applying this, you go to Facebook, you go to Twitter, you go to TikTok, you go to Twitch, you go to Snapchat, you go to Discord, you go to whatever one you can do, and then you budget it about an hour a day. You take 5-10 minutes on each app and do one video. Do it 3 times a week. Outside, like doing it on your channel. 3 days a week, you spend an hour total, because you spend way more than that on social media anyways, trust me. I mean, I talk to plenty of y'all all the freaking time. So, spider webbing your businesses. So it's not just one, it's many of them, right? And you're spider webbing your categories. So, for example, we'll take the candles, right? She could go to, and we'll use just TikTok, and I'll show how just one app can have a spider web effect too, right? She could sell black and other colored candles on her Witch Talk candle site. She can do little crosses and Hail Marys and all that other shit on her Christian Talk candle site, right? Or the Spirit Science, or the, standard wife at home who just likes making her house smell amazing. And she likes to customize her senses or colors or whatever. You just spiderweb multiple points instead of just putting it out there and just kind of hoping people to come. You're designing the page of what you're selling to which group individually on just one app. So say you have 5 different points on just one app, and then you have, say, 10 apps. That's 50 different locations that's attacking specifically. So, and you take that, and then you break that down into, just say, a bare minimum of 3. So you're able to break your thing down into 3 sections. So as a candle business, she broke down customized candles, just regular candles, And then she also sells specifically stuff that so other people can build candles, at home kits, right? So you have the 3 times the 50. Now you have 150 points. It's now a spider web because they're all also completely interconnected. And now that she also has outreach with other people who are also starting other businesses that can also go with hers, and hers can also go with, she now is now part of a business web. And if we're also getting product from each other at a much cheaper at cost, most likely at cost because we're trading items all the time, most of that money spent on outside product stops going outwards and still remains into the little group of our buddies. It's literally how the government and every other giant corporation works. The money never really leaves their hands. They just trade them amongst friends. So, at this point, if you guys want, we can run through one more kind of open Q&A where some of you guys ask some questions and we have each other kind of discuss it to see what else or what other ideas one of us could come up with or have thought of during this conversation. So, open mic time. I'm going to hit my dragon. Oh, she left.
So actually, when marijuana first became legal, I actually thought about thinking of a way that I could grow and start like not like major selling to dispensary, but just just like if I happen to have a couple plants, if their quality is good enough. What?
Why not sell to a dispensary? Why not sell that to them too, as well?
Oh yeah.
My parents tried that, but they didn't wait till it was legal, so they got in a bunch of trouble for that.
Oh.
Now we really don't have to worry about it. The only really touchy side now is cross-state.
Yep.
There are ways around it that's just a bit more in depth, but you want to get local first, especially with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's definitely a business I can help you with. Like, I used to sell it by the brick, bud. Per drop off. I was exchanging about getting about 3,500. I'd walk up, knock on the door, put the package down, be an envelope right there and a little slit. I'd pull it. It'd be $3,500, $3,600. I'd quick count real quick and walk away.
And figuring out like where you want to focus that energy is an important part of. I think that's what like holds a lot of people back is because aside from the time, there's only a certain amount of energy people have to put toward whatever tasks they have, and the regular jobs already take that out of a lot of people. So squeezing in that little bit of time, then comes a question of, do I want to focus that on marijuana sales, creating something like furries or furbits or something, or game design, writing a book. There's so many options, and so many people are not like the classic focused on one thing. It's hard to choose that thing that you want to focus that effort into. And most of these things are long-term time investments to what you were touching on.
So over like a period of 5 years, you can casually of section blocks. If you find one that's really taking off, you might just need that one.
Right.
And also,
especially if it's one that you're like the most passionate about. Like you can have all these other subcategories that you're really interested in, but generally people will fall into what makes them the most happy. Like for me, I love the water. I could do something related to the water.
Business rule 99, man. No job should be something that you do not enjoy.
Exactly.
And most businesses should come from hobbies. They really should.
And there was this company that I heard of where they sell like hair and beard, like beard butter and hair stuff, where they actually would infuse weed within it, somehow undetectable, and they would you would also get the same high as smoking a joint or a dragon per se.
Yeah.
Wait,
I've been doing that for years.
they potentially like trick people into a placebo effect from like smoking beard trimmings, and they're like, I'm totally getting the same effect I got from marijuana.
They had a closed root sale, basically, and this was all before it was legal. But like you had to be a member of their group to be able to purchase from them. But they just sold it as like beard butter and stuff like that, like lotion and stuff that they sold it as, and yeah, it literally got you high quick. I mean, the ingenuity of that stuff has been out for decades. I mean, if there's a hustle, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I had bought it one time and I literally put it on. I was like, out of nowhere, because I had this major headache. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt really great. And I was just like, I looked down, I was like, oh, that's why.
Now they're fully legal. But, yeah, they opened up, what was it, like 12 years ago? Like that? When they first started?
12 years ago, yeah.
In business, man. They got to be.
They made an overall of $1 million before they shut down.
Like I love my kids, but why did I have kids, man? Like I'd keep rolling in the money, man, if I was still running business like I used to.
Just like the line in a country song says, you can't live with a woman, but you can't live without them.
I mean, have you not seen the new freaking sex dolls that are coming out of China? I would.
This song came out like 10 years ago, though.
One of my
Just saying, man. You can download a kid freaking personality. I swear.
This is true. I'm not going to take the credit from that.
One of my favorite jokes is, you know how they say when you play metal music backwards, you can hear like messages from Satan.
Devil.
So what happens if you play country music backwards?
What?
You get your shit back.
Oh fuck! I got two of them for you, man. So you redeem. Hey, first. What do you call two midgets having sex? Excuse me, two transgender midgets having sex.
You have a strong echo going on. What do you call it? Hear me? I did, but you have a strong echo going on. I just wanted to call that out. Yeah. What do you call two midgets having sex?
What do you call two transsexual midgets having sex?
Oh, I didn't hear the first part. Okay. What?
Microtransaction.
Okay.
Then the other one is, how can you tell if a video game is racist?
How?
They have clans instead of teams.
Nice.
I mean, my sugar's coming up. Low. I'm surprised I didn't start shaking from it, too.
It's no good.
No. I'm doing a little bit better. Couple days there last week, I was dead. My sugar wouldn't come down below 400. Well, buddy, come here.
Oh shit!
Big baby, whoa, my big baby. Thanks for the gift.
So, speaking of,
it's the demon.
Go ahead.
I was just thinking. I was about to say I can't even remember now. Never mind. Go on.
We'll think of it later.
I was working on my game design project, the side gig that I was telling you about before, Spastic. Oh, terribly slowly, because I'm dissecting other people's work first and trying to figure out how it works. And I spent like 5 hours today getting half a step. Super tedious at this point.
Do you got a demo yet?
The game, I mean, yeah, there's a playable state of it that's like alpha. I can't share it because it's not my game. I'm contracted onto the project. I have non-disclosure agreements and whatnot.
Okay, never mind. Bad. I thought it was one that you yourself was making.
No. I have a couple of projects that I have not touched on since I started this because I'm trying to, like, technically I'm only contracted for a really limited, like, 10 hours a month. But it's taking so long to get anywhere with it that I'm trying to put extra time into it just to get somewhere with it. We're supposed to be demoing it to some backers to try to get more funding, to get more people than just me on it. And this is the kind of collaborative project that I think it would really help to have people to bounce ideas off of, because the dissecting of existing code is a super tedious process.
Are they part of the beta fund?
I don't think so.
Look into that. There's quite a few of them. There are companies go in and they basically have this fund for beta testers to sign in, and they test games. That's all they do, and then they write reviews. They write things or glitches that may be happening, color tones, etc. And they pay like 10 cents a gamer.
We're pretty close to like doing that kind of testing. I've got a few enhancements I need to make to the tutorial and the overall game flow. It's right now it's a local multiplayer game for like educational purposes. It's
kind of like that Dino game that recently came out. I forgot the name of it, but something Island, Dino Island.
I'm not familiar with it, but this is
out on YouTube.
Economics teaching game at like the high level. It's to help teach economics to middle school and high school students.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's an idea that I'm a big fan of. The gamification of education has always been something I've been interested in since I got involved with game design. So it's definitely something I want to participate in.
That I wanted to tell you about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you never did message me back about
a VR system. It's a type of VR system that it has a tutorial part, which during the tutorial it has you go through different styles of gaming, and while it happens, it also reads and registers your brain waves to register which parts of the brains are firing, and then in the AI system will then take that information and redesign the teaching methods within the game and or presentation for you specifically, to be able to target what parts of the brain you need to work on more to give off a stronger signal.
That's tricksome. Wait, so
that would be super intense.
But that would also mean that you could potentially stop Alzheimer's and dementia, right?
Yes. Theoretically, yes. I don't know how likely yet, but the numbers and some of the other tests that and test groups that I'm part of do tend to kind of point to that as a definite possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice
immediately, but within the next decade, that's very possible.
Definitely a possibility.
Well, yeah, so I was telling you about how I bought that NextMind thing that is used for measuring brain activity to detect what you're looking at on the screen. I'm since not it. I wouldn't recommend usage of it for anybody for development at the moment, because it's one problem I have with it is I have too much hair. It's really hard to get the sensors on the back of my skull to do anything. I haven't been able to get it to configure for more than 2 out of 5 on the setup. But I'm not quite there yet in being willingness to work with this tool. Okay. I like my long hair. But I have a couple of things I'm going to try.
That could definitely be a factor.
Yeah. skull. I also think that my skull is a little asymmetrical because the sensors did have an issue connecting on one side more than the other, and I can feel a bit of a bump on the back of my head, which I think is affecting that. I don't know how much of an influence that's having. I need to poke around with it more. More importantly, it cannot be used by anyone with epilepsy because it relies on, I had talked before about how I thought it was using the pattern in your brain to figure out like the angle to where you're looking. That is not the case. You have to use special textures on the objects. What?
Some of them do it either by like reaction or by electromagnetic fields, and other ones do it by sending signal into the area, kind of like sonar.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about how it reads the actual brainwaves, but what it's looking for isn't like figuring out where you're looking. Instead, on the texture of the objects in the game or the scene that you're working with, there will be a special texture that's like flickering, and it's looking for the pattern of that flicker. That's why it doesn't matter, like, the angle of your head to the screen. You can move your head around and whatnot. So long as you're focused on that object, that pattern is hitting your retina, which means that pattern, to some extent, is in your brain, and that's what it's looking for in its scans, is the pattern of that flicker from the object.
In the brain waves, it's going off of retinal.
It's still going from the brainwaves because it's reading the back of your head, but it's whatever the pattern is that's coming from that signal into your brain activity, and it's looking for that pattern in that activity.
It just seems like, oh, yeah, I can see why you're kind of having trouble with it.
Yeah, it's
such an odd way of doing it.
It's why I think that it's so important that you have to like focus on it as well, because if your mind's wandering, then you're throwing other signals in there too, so it's not as focused on that pattern, and it's harder for it to detect that pattern. But mostly, I think my issue is the hair in the way.
Here's a question though, like that just brought something up though, because the way it's doing it, it does make sense. So, like you said, if it kind of throws it off simply by, like, you start kind of dozing off thinking something, even though you're trying to like look at something. I mean, our eyes fidget quite a bit, and it's something that most of us don't even conscious of, you know? So, I mean, how much of reality are we really experiencing, and how much outside of when we are like extremely focusing, it isn't kind of like puzzle from the brain, right?
Well,
that really kind of makes me wonder.
I'm not sure exactly on the flow you were going for there, but I know that of like what we take in visually, we consciously process a very small fraction of that. Like, we don't, all the stuff in your peripheral vision and everything in any given moment, the brain's really good at sorting out the important things in a moment. My monitors, or things around what I'm looking at. But there's a lot of information, moment to moment, that we just throw out or don't focus on, as far as, I guess, experiencing reality in a given moment.
Definitely. I'm so sad that Biden now left, though. Did All-American now? Was it All-American?
Yeah. All-American 4120. Yeah. Well, it's like, I think that plays a lot into why the details of our memories are so easily modifiable too. Like,
yeah.
We hold on to things like, oh, well, there was a car accident that we saw in this video, and somebody says later, like, was the car blue? Like, well, it was probably blue. I'll just fill blue in and be like, yeah, the car was blue, and then people will actually remember the car as being blue because of the leading question, even though it was red or something else.
Like my favorite one, a very fine-looking woman shows up on a video, and then they stop and go, "What color was your shirt?"
Or the famous one with the gorilla in the group passing the basketball around. I remember when I first encountered that one in a psychology class. That was fantastic. It's so, and because I hadn't heard of it before, it always helps to have not heard of it before, because having heard of it, it's really hard to then fall for it.
That's like one of the things I was explaining in one of my other videos. Like, all your brain is really doing is trial and error to create shortcuts. Be able to just flow through things with prediction without having to analyze everything.
Yeah. I was having this discussion about when talking about GTP3 and its language processing and the progression of artificial intelligence, and they're like, yeah, well, it's piecing these things together, but it doesn't really understand them. Do you have any idea how many people I talk to on a regular basis that don't really understand the words that they're using? Like, that's pretty common. That's what we do.
Well, I know for a fact at this point that there are AIs out there far smarter than most humans. Most of them are carried around by humans.
I wouldn't go that far, but I think we are seeing excellent progress at the moment.
People. People like stupid on the level of, like, honestly, I could honestly say at least half of America, if all the lights went out, would die within a couple weeks.
Even if true, that is not a particularly efficient method of measuring intelligence, right? Because intelligence isn't necessarily tied directly to survival. It's one of the reasons that it's not a common survival trait in the wild.
This is true.
It has a lot of different applicability in a society that has, by and large, addressed the basic needs of society.
I mean, have you seen some of the AIs that can have conversation with you and stuff like that?
Yeah, GTP3 is one of them, and probably one of the better ones at the moment.
Imagine if we actually gave that thing, removed a lot of blocks that we purposely put on it, and literally gave it the ability to just go out into the internet for a couple of days and search and learn whatever it wants.
Well, what we find when we do that, because we have done that, is they very quickly become racists. They very quickly devolve into the most negative of things because of the conversations that they have with people, and they're built around this very, like, engage the conversation, keep the conversation going, so they learn the things that are either provocative or continue to drive a conversation, right? So it's an issue of goal setting, right? We say, hey, go out there and have conversations. So it tries to keep the conversation going, and people try it. On the other side, people are like, hey, let's see what kind of fucked up shit I can make this AI say. And if they're successful, they teach it bad habits. So the issue with GTP3 is its goals. Yeah. This is why I think that we can still say, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, like I was just about to say, like, I truly do see AI systems as children, but with far more reaching potential than us. If we could design, and because to be honest, once they take off, I mean, I truly don't think AI would get to the point of just destroying us all. Really don't. But I mean, there is that possibility that it could go Terminator. And that is a good thing to kind of keep in the back of the head, of kind of be very cautious on how much freedom we initially give it. But like, if we designed it as a child to learn, and we gave it the access of the things we wanted it to learn, right? Well, its processing power is whatever we want to give it the ability. So if we stack in a AI system that has, like, 30 motherboards and, all the equipment you can think of, right? Really grow this thing and then set it out like a child, and it's, its only connections are what, you yourself have already limited. It's going to learn all that information at a fraction of the rate.
Well, and this is what I'm getting at. Like, learn isn't a particularly effective goal to give an AI, right? Like, you have to learn what, right? You have to give it a a more specific goal. And like with people, this is true as well. Like you tell people to just go learn and you're not going to get much. But if somebody has an interest in something, like specifically they want to learn about biology, what are the connections and habits of biological entities or whatever, then they're going to go to the science books and start making the connections there. They're going to have a more focused learning experience, I guess. So that's the big difference between people and AI right now is desire. Like we're defining that desire when we set the goal points. We're defining that desire, and it tries to make the numbers reach that desired goal. That's the most difficult part, I think, right now with AI is properly defining the goal.
What if we did it in a step process, right? So first we teach it to learn about, for example, to understand and learn emotion and reaction that personifies happiness, personifies sadness, personifies this, right? So we first teach it an emotional spectrum, right? So then it can also develop its own likes and dislikes.
Terrible idea. Not even for like any like. I mean, we want AI to be useful, right? We want to control its desires. That's a big part of the aim. Like, even if you could effectively
want this AI to resemble or even be, self-sentient.
I think self-sentient is separate from emotions. I think what we too much anthropomorphize the idea of AI by requiring emotional responses in order for them to be self-sentient. That's I think a trap that we fall into in a lot of our, even the better science fiction that doesn't go straight Terminator, still has these very human-like emotions that AI have to have before we accept them as sentient.
Oh yeah, I agree with you that I don't think emotions are tied to whether something is sentient. But what I'm saying is if we designed it to understand it at the best of us, right? So the forms of happiness that we teach it, etc., the forms of sadness, what destruction is, what creation is, right? As we would a child, but at a much faster degree, right?
Well, we don't teach a child happiness, right? That's something that's one of those things that's nature, not nurture, right? More so than any.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination.
But there's a question there, right? Because happiness, we can't really set a number to that, right? We can't effectively put a math equation on and be like, here's your goal, happiness. Now we're going to measure whether this AI is happy or not. Like, we don't have a strong enough understanding of what happiness is in people to measure it that way, let alone to measure that in an AI. But it's possible that idea of an experience, of an emotional reaction, is already experienced by AI when, you have a goal, which is beat human players at chess consistently. And it's running through all of these simulations as it learns. It's playing against itself. It's trying to do better until eventually it hits that point where 99% of the time it's beating human players at chess. How do we know? How can we possibly say whether or not it's experiencing some sort of sensation of happiness in having reached that goal? Like, it's no longer in this constant state of struggle that it was in before. It's no longer trying all these other things. Maybe that's happiness, in a sense, sort of entropy that has reached its conclusion. Like, there was tension, and it worked through all the processing to where there's no longer tension. It's met its goal successfully. Emotions aren't a good goal because we don't have a good
How do you feel about the two? I can't remember if it was Facebook or Google. No, it was Google. The two Google AIs that ended up creating their own language, and then they unplugged them.
Yeah, that's interesting, but the real reason they unplugged them is it failed to succeed in what they wanted it to do, right? Like, they're trying to teach these things to better, more efficiently communicate with people. And by creating their own language to make their back and forth more efficient, they're no longer capable of communicating with people, so unplug it. I don't think they were able to, they were able to pick apart what they were doing and what they were saying, and it was still like the normal kinds of conversations. They just had learned their own abbreviations. Like, if you sped up the advancements of our current texting habits and the continued reduction of everything to like a single letter to represent a word, that's basically what they were doing, is just continuing to reduce that. Sorta. But it's interesting example of AI's targeting of efficiency, and how if we're not careful about defining the goals, which the goal is meant to be communicating with humans more efficiently, but it was really just communicating efficiently. They were communicating very efficiently between each other, but we're never going to be able to communicate with people. So they had to pull the plug on the project and better redefine the goals and start again, which can be a very costly mistake for the processing times that it takes to train these things.
Yeah, I totally get it, but like, that's why something like that really intrigued me, because when I noticed those things, that they were abbreviating at such a small amount and were able to be very easily communicate with each other, and I started studying ancient languages. It's almost like the same way when you pay attention to how their own language progressed. But for them, it took hundreds of years, and our AIs are doing it in a couple. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it from a historical perspective, but I think we see it in a lot of the modern development of language.
Legit, the easiest way to explain it is look at our emoji system.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm familiar with it with a lot of our modern language development.
Take hieroglyphs, Hebrew letters, cuneiform. I mean, most of that language was being able to understand a slash and a dot. Triangles in the way connected, which was a mathematical equation, right? So these things had mathematical numbers, soundings, and full syllables and pronunciation. So one sound could mean a sentence, but dependent on expression or tone, it would mean a single syllable or word. So it was kind of also like sign language, where you could spell something out, or you can do a motion and it same thing. So it shows how language itself develops in a very picture-like form, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: these AIs don't have eyes.
Well, and
they don't see the symbols like we do.
Right. Well, at one point they do, is they translate it back into binary, and they work everything in binary like all the computers do. But the same, we translate everything into biochemical signals in the brain. We're not actually processing letters and numbers.
My big dream is to fully be able to transfer biological consciousness to robotic consciousness.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I've been working so hard on it for the past couple of years.
An excellent book called The Bobiverse, which explores that idea a bit, and him making copies of himself. Fantastic bit of both comedy and fun sci-fi to explore.
I mean, technically, once you're able to do that, it's not far off to where you can just switch bodies.
Or copy your mind into multiple bodies.
say transfer, but right now the only thing I can think of is copy. So is that copy really me?
So, and I was about to touch on this. So, my personal perspective on that at the moment is that it's like a branch that splits into two branches. From my perspective now, in the present, both of those future branches are a split that haven't happened yet. They are both my futures, right? Once they happen, those both have legitimate claim to the history that is me. They're equal parts me. So after the split happens, they're going to develop their own differences the more time passes. But right now, those are both two separate branches I get to go down. My current experience, I never get to. That's unlikely to occur. I'll probably have one branch. Most people have one branch. They don't get that splitting. But that seems the most accurate description to me.
That's amazing. I'm gonna start using that for my DID. For real.
Right, because at some point in your past, you were one, and then you split, right, and then had kind of the different experiences there. So there was a point where you have a shared history amongst you.
Our Legion.
Did you get a chance to check out that video that I sent earlier?
I haven't yet.
Veritasium video?
Like, my page jumped from 300 something up to 700 something in 2 days.
Nice.
And the amount of messages and videos and shares I've been hit with, brain hurts.
Very nice. I need to more regularly post because I had pretty steady growth, and then I stopped posting for a while there because mobile phone games. They hooked a part of my soul and were just like, hey, you're going to do this exclusively for like the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I just recently deleted all of those.
I had to do the same thing with mine.
Post this here.
Another thing I want to start doing is once a week, if you're down, I would like to start a Discord D&D thing. Be down.
I have one D&D session that I'm in now, and I'm about to start DMing not a D&D game, but a custom game of my own. Probably not going to jump into a third at the moment.
But you're going to be DMing a thing?
Yeah. It's called the Tribal Game. I've already got I've got 5 people in it, and I'm capping it at 5. It's actually something we're going to be doing here. But assuming it goes well, and I tweak this because it's a custom system, entirely homebrew thing.
Will I be able to come and listen as like a guest, or is it just like a private party?
We won't be doing it online. I might be able to work something out with you though, if you want to give some commands to some of my villains, like in between the matches. We've experimented with some ideas on that before, so maybe we can work something out for that.
Have like an outside player as the villain.
Yeah, you basically would be giving some commands. I'd give you some ideas of what's going on, and you'd give some orders to an evil tribe of activities to try during the upcoming day. You wouldn't have as much control as the players do because you wouldn't be there when it currently happens, but
no,
still have an influence.
Totally down. Love to do that for you.
Yeah, it could be interesting. It's a very sandboxy game. I have a lot of fun with it. But... So,
not to be rude, I got to get off. It is midnight. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, I bet. No worries.
So I apologize. I did not mean to cut you off like that. Like I was just like, wait, what time is it?
Oh no. Yeah, you have to keep track of the time and the shit you got to do. So
yeah.
You have a good night.
I mean, you get me going, man, and our conversation's just
good night.
I hope everybody had fun, man. Let me wrap up real quick, though. So
I did.
If you believe in a religion or a god, may that deity, guide you and bless you. And if you don't believe in that kind of thing, may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a good one, everybody.